You wake up, that insatiable thirst already chasing you before you can even fully open your eyes. You get up to go to the bathroom for the third time during the night, feeling your legs heavy, your feet tingling as if thousands of invisible needles are poking your skin. When you finally manage to get out of bed, that slight dizziness appears, that feeling that the floor is swaying beneath your feet. You walk to the kitchen thinking about breakfast, but you carry that invisible weight of knowing that any wrong choice will send your blood sugar soaring, will leave you tired all day, will further accelerate the damage that diabetes is already causing to your blood vessels, your nerves, your kidneys. You've already tried to follow your doctor's advice, you've cut out refined sugar, you've reduced white rice, you've taken your medications exactly as prescribed, but your blood sugar keeps fluctuating like a roller coaster you can't control. And no one really explained to you why that food that seems so healthy, so harmless, so recommended by nutritionists, is actually destroying your blood sugar control first thing in the morning, at the most critical moment of the day for someone with diabetes. If you're tired of waking up with high blood sugar, even after a light dinner the night before, if you truly want to understand what's sabotaging your metabolic control, this channel was created exactly for you. Here, I bring science-based information, protocols that actually work, practical solutions you can implement today in your breakfast. Every week, I share proven strategies to control blood sugar naturally, reverse insulin resistance, and regain your energy and quality of life. If you want to be part of this community of people who are taking intelligent control of their diabetes, subscribe to the channel now. You deserve to live without the fear of your next glucose reading, without that constant anxiety about future complications. Let's embark on this metabolic transformation journey together. Over 37 million Americans currently live with diabetes or prediabetes, but fewer than 5% of them know that there's an extremely common breakfast food that can raise blood sugar by up to 60 points in just 45 minutes. Today, I'm going to reveal a complete ranking of the 8 worst morning foods for diabetics, ranked from least harmful to absolutely devastating for your blood sugar control. And at the end of this video, you'll discover exactly what to eat instead of these foods to stabilize your blood sugar for up to 6 consecutive hours. Some of this information will directly contradict what your doctor has told you, but it's based on over 2 0-hour clinical studies published in the last 10 years. When you wake up in the morning, your body is in a unique physiological state called the dawn phenomenon. Between 4 and 8 a.m., your cortisol levels naturally increase by up to 50%, preparing you to wake up. This cortisol signals your liver to release stored glucose into your bloodstream, raising your baseline blood sugar by 10 to 20 points even without you having eaten anything. For someone without diabetes, the pancreas responds by releasing extra insulin to compensate. But when you have insulin resistance or type 2 diabetes, your cells no longer respond adequately to this hormone. Now imagine what happens when you add a high glycemic index food to this already compromised metabolic scenario. The glucose from the food adds to the glucose your liver is releasing, creating a blood sugar spike that can reach 180, 200, even 240 millimolar DL in a matter of minutes. This spike forces your exhausted pancreas to produce massive amounts of insulin, but because your cells are resistant, the glucose remains in your blood for hours, causing protein glycation, endothelial inflammation, oxidative stress, and progressive damage to your peripheral nerves. Conventional doctors focus only on medication to lower this blood sugar after it has already risen, but studies published in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology show that preventing the morning spike is 300% more effective than trying to control it afterward. The truth nobody tells you is that you have total control over this process simply by choosing the right foods in the first 2 hours after waking up. Let's now move on to the ranking of the 8 worst morning foods for diabetics, starting with number 8. Number 8, fresh orange juice. Many people believe that because it's natural and homemade, orange juice is healthy for diabetics, especially when compared to sodas. A study with 500 participants published in the British Medical Journal found that consuming fruit juice in the morning increases the risk of diabetic complications by 21% compared to eating the whole fruit. The problem lies in the concentration of fructose without the fiber. When you squeeze 3 oranges to make a glass of juice, you're consuming about 26 grams of natural sugar at once, but you've removed all the fiber that would slow down the absorption of this glucose. This causes an average blood sugar spike of 40 to 50 points in the first 30 minutes. Furthermore, excess fructose overloads your liver, which needs to convert it into glucose or store it as visceral fat, further worsening insulin resistance. If you really want to consume oranges, eat the whole fruit with the white pith, limit yourself to one, and pair it with protein or healthy fat to reduce the glycemic impact. The cost of a glass of fresh juice is low, around $0, $50 to $0. $75, but the metabolic cost is too high. I give fresh orange juice a 3 out of 10 because there are much worse options, but it's still detrimental for diabetics in the morning. Number 7, store-bought granola. Granola has been marketed for decades as a healthy food, high in fiber, and ideal for breakfast. The scientific reality shows the opposite. An analysis of 47 commercial granola brands revealed that 89% of them contain between 12 and 18 grams of added sugar per 50-gram serving, equivalent to 3 or 4 teaspoons of pure sugar. In addition to the obvious sugar listed in the ingredients, most granolas use corn syrup, honey, brown sugar, or molasses, which are just disguised forms of sucrose. Even the versions without added sugar often contain corn flakes or puffed rice as a base, cereals with a very high glycemic index that spike glucose in minutes. A controlled study measured the glycemic response of 30 type 2 diabetics after consuming 60 grams of commercial granola with skim milk. Average blood glucose rose 58 points in 45 minutes and remained elevated for over 2 hours. The problem is compounded because the recommended serving of 50 grams is ridiculously small, barely filling the bottom of a bowl, leading people to easily consume double or triple that amount. If you like granola, make your own version at home using only nuts, seeds, unsweetened shredded coconut, and a minimal amount of natural sweetener, but even then, consume no more than 30 grams. The cost of store-bought granola ranges from $15 to $40 per kilogram. Expensive for a food that sabotages your metabolism. I give it a 3, 5 out of 10, because at least it has some fiber and fat from the nuts. Slightly better than pure juice. Number 6, French bread with margarine. This is probably the most common breakfast in Brazil, consumed by millions of diabetics every day without awareness of the metabolic damage. French bread made with refined wheat flour has a glycemic index of 95, almost identical to pure glucose, which has 100. When you eat 250-gram French rolls, you're consuming about 54 grams of refined carbohydrates that convert to glucose at lightning speed. Researchers at the University of São Paulo measured the glycemic curve of 40 type 2 diabetics after consuming 2 French rolls with margarine. Average blood glucose rose 62 points in the first 40 minutes and took over 3 hours to return to baseline. The flour refining process removes the bran and germ of the wheat, eliminating 80% of the fiber and practically all nutrients, leaving only pure starch. The starch is instantly broken down by salivary amylase in the mouth and then by intestinal enzymes, turning into glucose before you even finish chewing. Margarine adds another problem: trans fats and oxidized omega-6, which increase systemic inflammation and worsen insulin resistance in the long term. If you can't live without bread, choose dense, true whole wheat bread made only with whole wheat flour, water, salt, and yeast, with no added sugar or white flour. Limit yourself to 1 30-gram slice and always pair it with eggs, cheese, or avocado to reduce the glycemic impact. 2 French rolls cost about $1, extremely cheap, but the price your body pays in inflammation and glycemic dysregulation is immeasurable. I give it a 4 out of 10 because at least it temporarily satisfies hunger, unlike the next items on the list. Before I show you the 5 worst morning foods for diabetics, I want to pause here and ask you a very direct question. What diabetes symptom bothers you the most on a daily basis? Is it that constant thirst that never goes away? Is it the extreme fatigue that leaves you with no energy first thing in the morning? Or is it the fear of future complications, that worry about vision loss, amputation, or kidney problems? I know you've been living with this for too long. You've felt alone in this battle. You've been afraid you wouldn't be able to reverse or control this condition. Leave in the comments which symptom affects you the most. You can write it like this: "The worst for me is," and then describe your main symptom. When you share this, you're helping thousands of people who read the comments and finally feel understood, who realize they are not alone in this struggle. You are not alone on this journey. Now let's continue with the 5 most devastating foods. Number 5, sugary breakfast cereals like Fruit Loops or Corn Flakes. The food industry has spent billions of dollars convincing entire generations that cereal with milk is the ideal breakfast, especially for children. Metabolic science shows the exact opposite. Breakfast cereals are basically corn or wheat processed under extremely high pressure and temperature, destroying any nutrients that might have existed and creating a product with a stratospheric glycemic index. An Australian study analyzed 120 brands of breakfast cereals and found that 92% of them contained more than 20 grams of sugar per 100 grams of product, with some reaching 40 grams. Even the versions without added sugar spike blood glucose because the starch in corn or rice has been completely denatured by industrial processing. When type 2 diabetics consumed 40 grams of corn flakes with 200 millimoles of skim milk, their blood glucose rose an average of 67 points in just 35 minutes. The glucose spike was followed by an abrupt drop 90 minutes later, causing reactive hypoglycemia, that desperate hunger that makes you eat again even though you just had breakfast. The cycle of highs and lows keeps you on a glycemic roller coaster all day, progressively destroying your insulin sensitivity. Whole grain versions are not much better because they go through the same industrial extrusion process under high pressure. If you really want to eat cereal, choose rolled oats, not instant, and cook them for at least 5 minutes to reduce the glycemic index. A 500-gram box of breakfast cereal costs between $12 and $25, far too expensive for a product that is practically disguised sugar. I give it a 4. 5 out of 10 because besides spiking glucose, it causes dependence due to the peak and crash cycle. Number 4, tapioca with jam or honey. Tapioca has become a huge trend in the US over the last few years, promoted as a healthy, gluten-free alternative to bread. For diabetics, tapioca is one of the worst possible choices for breakfast. Tapioca is made exclusively from starch extracted from cassava root, meaning it's pure carbohydrate with not a single fiber, protein, fat, vitamin, or anything else besides polysaccharides. The glycemic index of plain tapioca is 70, but when heated in a pan and consumed hot, this index jumps to nearly 90 due to the complete gelatinization of the starch. Add fruit jelly or honey on top, and you've created a perfect glycemic bomb. Brazilian researchers measured the glycemic response of 25 type 2 diabetics after consuming 100 grams of tapioca with 2 tablespoons of strawberry jam. Their blood sugar shot up 71 points in 40 minutes, one of the highest spikes among all foods tested. The problem with tapioca isn't just the spike, but the complete absence of nutrients that could compensate. When you eat a bad whole wheat bread, at least it has some residual fiber and protein. But tapioca is literally empty calories that turn into instant glucose. If you love tapioca and can't give it up, use only 50 grams of tapioca starch, fill it with scrambled eggs, cheese, and avocado, transforming it into a mixed meal that drastically reduces the glycemic impact. Never, under any circumstances, eat tapioca with sweet fillings. The cost of tapioca starch is low, around $2 or $3 per pound, but the metabolic cost is brutal. I give it a 5. 5 out of 10, because on its own it's terrible, and with a sweet filling it becomes catastrophic. Number 3, artificially flavored yogurt. Many people buy yogurt thinking they're making a healthy choice, especially the light or fat-free versions. The truth hidden on the labels will shock you. A study that analyzed 900 yogurt products available in the Brazilian market discovered that flavored yogurts contain an average of 15 to 22 grams of sugar per 6-ounce serving, equivalent to 4 or 5 teaspoons of pure sugar. The fat-free versions are even worse because they remove the natural fat from milk that would help slow down sugar absorption. And they compensate for the loss of texture and flavor by adding more sugar, modified starch, and thickeners. Even yogurts that claim to have low sugar content often use concentrated fruit juice as a sweetener, which metabolically is identical to regular sugar. When diabetics consume 200 grams of light strawberry yogurt in the morning, their blood sugar rose an average of 53 points. Not as high as bread or tapioca, but enough to destabilize morning metabolic control. The worst part is that yogurt is liquid and passes quickly through the stomach, making glucose reach the bloodstream even faster. Furthermore, many people eat yogurt with granola or honey on top, multiplying the glycemic disaster. If you want to eat yogurt, choose only full-fat plain yogurt without sugar, with that layer of fat on top. And add some nuts or chia seeds for fiber and fat. Never trust claims of low sugar or light without reading the ingredients. A 6-ounce container of flavored yogurt costs between $1 to $2, a moderate price for a food that deceives diabetics with healthy marketing. I give it a 6 out of 10 because it at least provides some milk protein, but the hidden sugar negates any benefit. Number 2, store-bought cake or cheese bread. This category deserves special mention because many diabetics consume these products thinking they're better than sweet bread. Ready-made cakes and frozen cheese breads are the biggest supermarket traps for people with diabetes. The typical recipe for store-bought cake starts with refined wheat flour, adds white sugar or glucose syrup, hydrogenated vegetable fat, and a list of 15-20 chemical additives to extend shelf life. A medium 3-ounce slice of store-bought cake contains about 35 grams of refined carbohydrates and 18 grams of sugar. The glycemic index ranges from 75 to 85 depending on the type. When 18 type 2 diabetics ate a piece of store-bought chocolate cake in the morning, their blood sugar shot up an average of 78 points in 50 minutes, one of the most aggressive spikes measured. Frozen cheese bread has an equally problematic composition. Although made with cassava starch, which is naturally gluten-free, the starch has a very high glycemic index, close to 85. Add to that low-quality processed cheese and hydrogenated vegetable fat used to cheapen production, and you have a food that spikes glucose and inflammation simultaneously. 3 small 1-ounce cheese breads each add up to 45 grams of highly absorbable carbohydrates. Many people eat 5 or 6 units without realizing it, consuming 70 to 80 grams of pure carbohydrates. If you occasionally want to eat cake or cheese bread, make it at home, controlling the ingredients. Use almond or coconut flour instead of white flour, sweeten with erythritol or stevia, and limit the portion. A ready-made cake costs between $4.8, frozen cheese bread's about $4.6 per pound. Expensive and devastating for diabetics. I give it a 7, 5 out of 10, because it combines a high glycemic index with trans fats and inflammatory additives. We finally arrived at number 1, the absolute worst breakfast food for diabetics. Number 1, acai bowls with granola and guarana syrup. This dish has become a symbol of healthy living in the U.S., consumed by athletes, fitness influencers, and people of all ages. For diabetics, commercial acai is pure metabolic poison. The industrialized acai sold in cafes isn't just pure fruit pulp. It's a mix of pulp with guarana syrup, which is essentially liquid sugar, sometimes with corn syrup, frozen bananas for creaminess, and artificial colors to intensify that purple hue. A medium 10-ounce acai bowl can pack between 60 to 80 grams of carbs, with 40 to 50 grams being pure sugar. Add 2 ounces of commercial granola on top, and you're consuming over 100 grams of high glycemic carbs in a single morning meal. A study conducted in Sao Paulo measured the glycemic response of 22 type 2 diabetics after consuming a 14-ounce bowl of acai with granola and honey. Their blood sugar spiked an incredible average of 94 points in just 55 minutes, reaching peaks of 220 to 240 milligrams DL in some participants. This level of acute hyperglycemia causes massive glycation of hemoglobin and endothelial proteins, severe oxidative damage, and vascular inflammation that lasts for 6 to 8 hours. Beyond sugar, commercial acai often contains low-quality fats added to cut costs. Even pure acai pulp without additives has a moderate to high glycemic index due to its natural carbohydrate content, around 25 grams per 100 grams. If you really want acai, buy only pure frozen pulp with no added sugar. Use a maximum of 3. 5 ounces, add unsweetened protein powder, natural peanut butter, and chia seeds, transforming it into a balanced meal. Never consume pure acai as a smoothie or bowl without adding protein and fat. A 14-ounce commercial acai bowl can cost between $8 to $15 depending on the city. Extremely expensive for a product that wrecks your glycemic control for hours. I give it a 10 out of 10 for metabolic destruction because it's the perfect combination of liquid sugar, refined carbs, and bad fats. Now that you know the 8 worst breakfast foods for diabetics, let's talk about what actually works. The number 1 strategy, backed by over 500 clinical studies, is to start your day with a meal rich in protein and healthy fats, minimizing carbohydrates. An ideal diabetic breakfast contains 25 to 35 grams of protein, 15 to 20 grams of healthy fat, and a maximum of 20 grams of low glycemic complex carbohydrates. Researchers at Tel Aviv University compared 2 diets in 59 type 2 diabetics. Group 1 consumed a high-protein breakfast with eggs, avocado, and vegetables. Group 2 consumed a traditional breakfast of toast and juice. After 3 months, Group 1 reduced their HbA1c by an average of 1. 4 points, lost 5. 2 kilos, and improved insulin sensitivity by 31%. Group 2 saw negligible results. Your ideal breakfast could include scrambled or hard-boiled eggs prepared with olive oil or ghee, sliced avocado, full-fat cheeses like cheddar or cottage cheese, nuts like Brazil nuts, walnuts, or raw almonds, and sautéed vegetables like spinach, kale, or broccoli. If you want to include carbs, choose a maximum of 3 ounces of baked sweet potato or 5 ounces of cooked rolled oats. This type of meal stabilizes blood sugar for 4 to 6 hours, eliminates between meal hunger, and progressively improves insulin sensitivity over weeks. The monthly cost of this protocol is approximately $100 to $150, significantly less than the cost of medications for poorly controlled diabetes, which can reach $300 to $500 per month. Now, I'll show you the 5 critical mistakes that completely negate results, even when you choose the right foods. Mistake number 1, eating isolated carbs without protein or fat. Even a low glycemic carb like oatmeal will spike your glucose if consumed alone. Always combine any carbohydrate with protein and fat in the same meal. Mistake number 2, eating breakfast too late. Studies show that the later you have your first meal, the worse your glycemic control is throughout the day. Try to eat within 1 hour of waking to synchronize with your circadian rhythm. Mistake number 3, drinking juice or smoothies instead of chewing solid food. Liquids are absorbed 3 times faster, causing much more aggressive glycemic spikes. We'll always prefer solid foods that require chewing. Mistake number 4, believing that diet or zero sugar products are safe. Many of them contain maltodextrin, dextrose, or other refined carbohydrates that spike glucose just as much as sugar. Read the ingredients, not just the front labels. Mistake number 5, expecting immediate results and giving up after 1 week. Reversing insulin resistance takes 4 to 12 weeks of consistent eating. Measure your blood glucose 2 hours after breakfast every day and document your progressive improvement. Never change or stop medications without consulting your doctor, but the correct diet can allow for gradual dose reductions under medical supervision. Your body doesn't want to have diabetes. Your pancreas wasn't born defective. Your insulin resistance was built over years or decades of poor eating, chronic stress, and a sedentary lifestyle. But it can be reversed with the right strategies. Our grandparents didn't have a diabetes epidemic because they ate real food, eggs, meats, vegetables, natural fats, free from ultra-processed junk food. The food industry has spent billions convincing you that you need breakfast cereals, juice boxes, flavored yogurts, and protein bars for energy. The truth is, these products were designed to be addictive, not nourishing. You have the power to change your metabolic trajectory starting tomorrow morning. I challenge you to follow a high-protein, high-fat breakfast protocol for 30 consecutive days, measuring your blood sugar before and 2 hours after each meal. Take pictures of what you eat and note how you feel in terms of energy, hunger, and mood. At the end of 30 days, compare your average blood sugar readings to your starting point. You'll be amazed by the transformation. This protocol is backed by decades of solid research published in the world's leading endocrinology and nutrition journals. It's not a fad, it's not a trendy diet, it's basic biochemistry applied practically. If this video helped you, give it a like so more people with diabetes can find this vital information. If you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe to the channel now. And leave a comment below about your first week following this protocol. Your transformation can inspire thousands to take control of their health. Start tomorrow. Your body will thank you.